I'm stupid. It is now a different year since I recorded the last writer log. I guess before I get to writing, I guess I'll say why. I had a writer's block for a second, but I'm back now, and I'm actually doing writing. So during writer log 1, we were here. Writer log 2, we were here, and now we are here. So we are now over halfway done with rewriting the entire script so far. So after that, it'll be completely new scripts. So in case if you're wondering, no, I'm not going to be ending the writer logs. To the one person that is wondering, I'm not going to end the writer logs as soon as I'm done rewriting everything. Probably not. Okay, so basically everything after this, I need to rewrite 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more scripts. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Word count. I need the word count, please. Okay, yeah. There is 19,000 words in here, so that's like if yeah. I don't know where I'm going with this bit. Okay, so I've been planning the introduction for a little bit, so I'm not going to be here for forever, just trying to figure out what I'm going to write. Instead, I'm going to actually, put my thoughts down into real life, not too real life sentences. So, let's do this. We officially Did I spell officially wrong? Yeah. We officially made it. We officially made it. We officially made it. Okay. We officially made it. We're now in the second half of the Phandroid story. We're now in the second half of the Phandroid story book series. However, I will add that, I'm thinking of either saying this or saying this in advance for later, because we'll be doing AFS 4 later, because AFS 4 is the last AFS book. So we're now halfway done with writing the AFS scripts, unfortunately, because I really like these stories, because, I don't know, I like reading them. But yeah, as of right now, we have rewritten 3 of these. However, I will say in advance, I will say in advance that, I will say in advance, I will say this in advance, I will say this in advance, okay, yeah, I like this better, I will in advance, I will say this in advance, I will say this in advance, this is the final AFS book that was fully complete. I will say this in advance, this is the final AFS book that was fully completed. Let me explain. I have access to the first parts of AFS 4. I have access to the first part of the AFS 4, but the second part is just completely completely lost to time. But But the second part is completely lost to time. I have access to the first part of AFS before, but the second part is completely lost to time. It's completely lost in time. I was almost. I was almost done with it too. I don't even know what happened to the file. I was almost done with it too. I don't even know what happened to the file. It's just gone. What is the... Oh, it's Command I. I'm not used to Mac shortcuts. Yeah, like for example, Control V, Control C is like Command V, Command C. It's weird. I'm not used to it. Okay, going back to this, I will talk more about it once we actually get to that point. Since this is... I will talk more about it once we actually get to that point. Since this is about AFS 3 and not the book after. This, as of the time the book was written, this was by far the longest book I had written. Like, as of this time, this was by as of this time. I don't like that. At least during this point, this was by far the longest. At least during this point, this was by far the longest book I had written. Trust me, it shows. This was written around 4 months after the. This was written around 4 months after the previous. This was written around 4 months after the previous entry in the series. This was written around 4 months. This was written around 4 months after the previous entry in the series, which I'm assuming was probably due to some, which I'm assuming was probably due to summer break. Oh my god, somebody's trying to DM me right now. This is the worst time to DM me. And I can't just check Discord because who knows what the messages are. Okay, which I'm assuming was probably due to summer break. The story mostly takes place competition show. It mostly takes place on set of an imaginary competition show titled, I forgot what it was called. It was the super duper titled the super duper reality show. I titled the super duper titled, and I quote, titled, and I quote, the super duper reality show. On the set of an imaginary competition show, titled, and I quote, the super duper reality show. You could absolutely tell that this, you can absolutely tell that this one was made up on the spot. You can absolutely tell that this one was made up on the spot. But I won't get too ahead of myself. But I won't get too ahead of myself. Okay. So, yeah, I won't get too ahead of myself. I don't. Okay. Okay. This book in particular contains a lot of personal contains a lot of personal names. And by a lot, I mean that this is the most included. This is the most censored book by far. So they will either be replaced by their display names. Anime? No, I did not mean anime. So they will either be replaced by their display name or be completely censored. To the one audience member asking, yes, this book does contain an inclusion of Feverton and Ledward. That's practically everything. That's practically everything I could say about this book. So I'm just going to begin reading. That's practically everything you can say. That's practically everything I can say about this book. That's practically everything I can say about this book. So I'm just going to get to reading. How long was that? Okay, so we just wrote a 255 word introduction, which I think, is slightly shorter than this one. Yeah. Okay, I can now delete the old introduction. Okay. And so I'm just going to get to reading. Yep, there we go. There we go. We have the introduction completely written out, and that's basically the end of this writer log. I think that's just comfortable. Yeah, I think that this is as much as I want to record as of right now. So this may or may not be the last time I write about a Fandrew story in the writer logs. So at least for the script. So that's something, I suppose. So yeah. Thank you for listening or tuning in. I don't care. See you in the next one.